It took 6 years, but there's finally an official UN report into Sri Lanka's civil war, accusing all sides of serious human rights violations.
It draws us ever closer to the conclusion, to be confirmed subsequently by a court properly constituted, that war crimes and crimes against humanity, violations that are among the most serious crimes of concern to the international community as a whole, have apparently been committed.
The report has recommended a special court be set up as an essential step towards justice. The conflict lasted nearly 30 years, with the Tamil Tigers fighting for a separate state in the north. But the UN report has identified grave violations of rights between the years 2002 and 2011, which covers the concluding years of the war, the final battle, and the 2 years after. The UN says international involvement is critical.
In fact, we're calling for an international element at every stage. So at the prosecutorial stage, judges, investigators, there needs to be an international component to all of these. The reason for that is because these are violations of an international nature.
The investigation has drawn mixed reactions. The former government of Mahinda Rajapaksa had dismissed it as a witch hunt and said it would not allow international interference in its affairs. The new government is more open, engaging with the international community and cooperating with the UN. But war victims and survivors say an international investigation is necessary. A lawyer representing many of them told Al Jazeera that there is disappointment.
The disappointment arises from the fact that there is in these recommendations that there is room for a domestic sort of component, which the victims do not expect at all, because they have the experience, going through several years of these local and domestic involvement, the mechanisms. They have no confidence at all.
The report is almost 300 pages. Some of it includes testimony of victims and families of torture, unlawful killings, sexual violence, child recruitment, and enforced disappearances. In its initial response, Sri Lanka's Foreign Ministry says it will ensure that the report's content and its recommendations receive due attention of relevant authorities. That includes the process of setting up the recommended special court.
The UN Human Rights Chief says specific individuals were not named in the report because it was concentrating on broad patterns of organization and planning in rights violations. That, he said, was for subsequent criminal investigations. For now, the UN must work with Sri Lankan authorities to design the mechanism that will create the recommended special hybrid court. Minal Fernandez, Al Jazeera, Colombo.